Hello. Hands-on housing is an Austin tradition, and it's long been a way to help people fix their homes who otherwise wouldn't have the help. Well, that program is about to be expanded in a big way. Stay tuned to find out how.
Austin Faith Dialogue, at the crossroads of religion and life. A series highlighting the cultural and social interactions between the worshiping and religious communities in and around the capital city. Austin Faith Dialogue is brought to you by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries in cooperation with KXAN. Join us now in Austin Faith Dialogue.
Hello and welcome. My name is Shane Whistler, your host for this edition of Austin Faith Dialogue. We're very glad you're with us today, and we have a few important announcements and some timely events. And first, I want to introduce three people who are the tip of the iceberg when it comes to making hands-on housing work, an event that used to happen only twice a year. I'm going to introduce you all by name, then go back to talk about what each of you do in hands-on housing. First, we have Laura Patlove, who's new to the program. And we have David Davis, who is with AMM full-time. And Carrie Stevens is also here to help with hands-on housing. And let's start back at the end with Carrie. Carrie, your title is?
I'm the Resource Council Chair.
Okay, in a thumbnail sketch, what's that mean?
That means that we're a group of volunteers that help out where needed with both the event and the expansion that's occurring.
All right. And David, you have been now the new, you're not new anymore, the program director for Austin Metropolitan Ministries.
Yes, it's been about 6 months now, so,
okay.
So we're
that's great.
become an old hat. But,
and Laura Patlove is brand new. Essentially, when was your first day?
Well, I think it was November 16th.
Okay. And before we go much farther, I want to let people know that there is the hands-on housing, and this is the first time you've heard of it. It's a weekend event where people have been selected who have homes that are in poor condition and even hazardous to their own health. And it's a weekend where anyone can come and volunteer and help repair these homes for people that are really, really appreciative of that help. So that's coming up May 1st and 2nd.
yes.
And we will give you a phone number and more information later, and even show you pictures of last events. But David, would you start us off telling us about the history? Hands-on housing has been a periodic event, and now change.
Well, it has been a regular event. We've had 2 a year, fall and spring. Fall being a bit smaller, a training event, if you will, leading up to a spring event that has accomplished 50 homes in a single weekend. Last spring, we enjoyed over 1,200 volunteers for a single day of these renovations and repairs. So it's a very important program for folks in our community, predominantly low-income homeowners, fixed-income people, a lot of older people who are unable to keep their home in the level of maintenance that they have enjoyed previously. The expansion that will occur is very exciting. Oftentimes, the homes we come in contact with are of a greater need, of greater scale than what we can accomplish in a single weekend. And while we have taken on some of these larger tasks, we're hoping that in years to come, we'll be able to have special resources available to attend to these needs as well.
Great. And the first special resource is Laura Patlove. You're the new program coordinator, and that's a brand new position for Austin Metropolitan Ministries to work. You're going to be working full-time specifically for hands-on housing. Mm-hmm. So from 2 events a year, now what do you hope to see happen?
Well, right now we're planning the event, which, as you said, is going to happen May 1st and 2nd. And after that happens, we are going to be trying to have home repairs throughout the year. We're going to try to expand our volunteer base so that we have pools of volunteers that we can call upon during the year to help people. We're hoping to apply for some monies through grants to enable us to, as David mentioned, fix up houses perhaps to code level, so that rather than fixing houses up for a weekend, we would spend perhaps maybe 3 or 4 months fixing up a house. We also would like to establish an emergency repair program where if somebody's roof is leaking or a pipe burst or their air conditioner went on the fritz, we could call upon a pool of volunteers and say, can you address this problem this weekend? So we really would like to expand the program so that people, when they're thinking about fixing up their house and they can't afford for materials and they can't afford labor, they would think of Hands on Housing and give us a call.
Okay, great. I want to ask Carrie, you're on a council, the Resource Council. That sounds like a lot of work, and what does that mean?
Well, historically, the council has functioned more as an oversight group. However, everyone on the council has always been doing a lot of volunteer work. So what we're in the process of doing is expanding the council and actually creating committees so that we can spread the work out among the council. But the interesting thing about those committees is we have positions for absolutely everyone. Our committees are going to range from everything from fundraising to working with corporate sponsors to doing team leader training meetings to assessing homes. So even people who don't have skilled labor in repairing homes can still be an active part of the Resource Council.
Good. So that's an invitation, an open invitation for people at every level.
That's right.
And what, you're a volunteer on the council. What do you do for the other part of your life?
Well, I've been working in the high-tech industry for the past 9 years, moved to Austin about a year ago, and got involved with this organization shortly thereafter. I was pulled on by someone who was already on the council and said, this is a great group, you should look into it and see if it would be something that you'd like to volunteer your time and do. And I found it to be extremely rewarding. I've gotten to interview a lot of the recipients of some of our work and also a lot of the volunteer teams. And it's amazing to hear their stories and to hear how successful they have been.
Great. Well, besides someone tugging on your sleeve,
Yes.
inviting you to volunteer for the council, what motivates you to get involved with a program like this?
Well, I would have to say I've been doing volunteer work probably since I could walk. My parents did a lot of volunteer work, and so I grew up doing a lot of volunteer work, very heavily involved in my church. I grew up in North Central Texas and in Presbyterian, and did a lot of community activities in particular. So when I saw this in this group, it was very unique because it does something for a large portion of the community, but it's a part of the community that really desperately needs it done. For example, I was told a story shortly after I decided to join about a woman who had arthritis, and she couldn't lift her hands except up to this high. She couldn't lift them above her head. Well, start thinking about all the parts of your home where that limits your ability to clean. You can't clean a mirror in your bathroom above your hand level. And if you don't have family members or friends to help you out, you're kind of stuck. Well, I have come from a very supportive family, always had family and friends around. My parents actually take care of my great aunt. She lives with them currently. And so I realized some of the limitations people have, and the opportunity to help those people gives me a lot of personal satisfaction.
Great. And I think we were talking earlier, and you said you would encourage anyone in any industry, and just because you happen to be involved with the high-tech industry, to issue the challenge for people to come out and volunteer.
The opportunity to interview groups of Girl Scouts, many members of faith organizations, and also university groups. And some of the volunteer activities and the benefits that they received was being able to work as a team. And I immediately thought of the high-tech industry because we're constantly looking for opportunities for our groups to work as a team. And this is a great event because let's take a computer programmer, for example. They work behind a computer all day. This is an opportunity to get out with a group of colleagues, swing a hammer. Some of them have wonderful electrical skills, plumbing skills. Maybe they get to level a cabinet and really get a lot of energy out. So I think it's a great team building exercise for the high-tech community in particular, since Austin has such a high predominance of the high-tech industry.
Great. David, could you tell me how people are selected to receive this assistance?
Well, we work with neighborhood groups. Austin Metropolitan Ministries, being a faith-based organization, being a community-based organization, is very concerned that community be built as we renovate homes. So we work with the neighborhood associations and people within the neighborhood to identify folks that could use this help, to pass the word out. And then we have a process where volunteers go and assess the home, and we evaluate what level of skill will be required for that home. And Laura does most of the interaction with the homeowners at this point in terms of getting their applications in and getting someone to their home to look at it.
Okay, good. So you're plugged in all over the community. And now, Laura, you've been a few months on the job, and now you're getting plugged in all over the community. What would you like to share with us about your motivation? What made this a career choice for you?
Well, I have a background in regional planning, and before I came to Austin, I worked in several small communities doing housing rehab for low and moderate income people. I administered community development block grants. And wanting to come to Austin, Hands-On Housing seemed like a really good match because, as I indicated when I came down here to the staff who was doing the job search, I said that I've always had this feeling of wanting to reach out to the community. When I was in high school, I worked on in a work camp and helped migrant workers build a recreation center. And so all through my life, I've always had a feeling of doing good deeds. And this sort of goes along with my career. And so to me, it's just a perfect match.
Great. And when did you move to Austin?
3 months ago.
Okay. So
Carrie 3 days before I took the job, actually.
Right. So Carrie's about a year and a few months for Laura. And David, when did you move to Austin?
I've been in Austin about 5 years.
Okay. So you're a long timer by these standards.
By these standards.
We've got a lot of new people, and the good thing about talking about hands-on housing, each time we have this program promoting it, there are a lot of new people, and we hope that have caught the program. And so we want you to call in. And the second half, we'll talk more specifically about how to get your hands dirty or how to get your pencil and paper out and plan for the organization. So please stay with us. We'll also show you a couple of pictures of people in action and come back and talk about the variety of ways that you can help and make a big difference in people's lives. So thank you, and stay with us for this edition of Austin Faith Dialogue. Oh, and thank you for rejoining our program on Austin Faith Dialogue today. We're talking about hands-on housing, and we found out that the person sitting nearest me, Laura Petlove, is a brand new program coordinator full-time to make hands-on housing more than just 2 events a year into a year-round program. And also with us, David Davis, who's the program director of all the activities of Austin Metropolitan Ministries, and Carrie Stevens, who's a member of you're the chairperson of the Resource Council for Hands-On Housing. So we've talked about the ways people can help with the council, and we want to get now into very specific details of how people can, again, touch on who is selected for for the assistance that your volunteers give, and then what can the volunteers do specifically. And we want people to know it's May 1st and 2nd, and they call the number they've just seen, Austin Metropolitan Ministries, and we'll show that again, but it's May 1st and 2nd, Hands on Housing. So would you like to tell us about your experience? You actually visit with the people, interview them, the potential recipients of this help?
Well, what I did was made a contact with the neighborhood associations in Montopolis and St. John's neighborhoods. Those are the two neighborhoods that we're targeting for the spring event. And I contacted them, and I was invited to do a presentation at their senior lunch, because most of the people we help are seniors. And we went to St. John's. First, we met with their advisory committee, and we got to know the people who were sort of in charge and the movers and shakers in St. John's, and that was really helpful. They know who we were. And then I went subsequently to visit with the seniors at their lunch, and I gave them a presentation. I told them how they could apply for the assistance, what the time frame was. I told them also that even if they do apply, we could not promise that their house would be fixed. Then I went to Montopolis and met with the seniors at the Montopolis Recreation Center and a similar type program. We also were fortunate enough to have the volunteers at both neighborhood centers offer to make lunch for our volunteers on the date of the event. So we are going to be coordinating that with them. We'd like to provide lunch. Not all the volunteers take advantage of it. A lot of them feel it's sort of disruptive, but it's nice for everybody to get together. And we're going to be seeking donations from some businesses as well to help them. But our volunteers are assessing the houses right now, and on March 23rd, we are having a team leader meeting where anyone who's interested in being a volunteer and leading a team should attend it. It's from 7 to 9. It's going to be held at 2026 Guadalupe, and they can call me for further information.
Okay, I'll make sure they get the number and call Laura. And the team leaders, do they need to know about construction and repair to be a team leader?
Well, I think most of them have had some experience working as a member of a team, and some of them have a little bit more skill in terms of coordinating. And basically a team leader, from what I understand, directs. He might get in and do some work, some hammering or something, but pretty much he takes care of his team. He buys the materials. He makes sure that all the team leaders are there when they're supposed to be, and make sure that the job gets done, essentially, and also establishes a relationship with the homeowner, which is critical. Because part of what we do, in addition to the home repair, is to establish these relationships between people who are fixing up the house and the homeowners. And we also like to get some of the homeowners involved, if they can, in helping with the home repair. It doesn't always happen because some of the homeowners are physically disabled and cannot help, but they might have a family member or a friend that can help, and we encourage that.
Right. We want to build a lot of bridges that David mentioned earlier, and you're talking about whether it's sharing lunch or the team leader to make a contact with the person who lives in the home. You know, this is not just a benevolent, superior group of people descending to help and then vanishing. You're trying to really establish connection, because Austin Metropolitan Ministries covers all the faith-based groups we know of, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist. All people are welcome. And the bottom line is to preserve and support human dignity and care for each other.
That unites us all and calls us to move outside of our comfort zone and to really make a difference. And Hands on Housing is an excellent way. It's a symbolic way of building. Always symbolizes coming together and hope for me, and I think it does for others too.
That's great. It seems to be an excellent way to get plugged into the community, and especially neighborhoods or that have several homes that need help. Most people wouldn't go into that neighborhood or meet anybody or talk to anybody unless they make this specific effort. And I think our older population's often forgotten about.
Well, Austin is growing so quickly, and a lot of these neighborhoods are developing so rapidly. that it's very important to preserve affordable housing stock. There's gentrification is a real issue with folks being priced out of their own neighborhood. Hands-on housing is a way to address that. It's a way to keep people in their homes and keep that affordable housing stock available.
That's great. How about talking to resources? And we go back to the chairperson, Carrie, of the Resource Council. Where do you get these materials, or it seems like it takes a little bit of money to make this happen too. Where do these supplies come from?
We have a lot of different options. Usually what happens is a team leader will take the responsibility of either finding the funds, getting sponsored, or getting some type of a grant. A lot of times if we have a really interested team who really wants to get involved but doesn't have the funds, we will help them find a way to come up with the funds. And some homes, what you're doing is you're repainting an exterior. Maybe you're only repainting part of an exterior. So the cost can be extremely low to get involved. And you can still have an active team of 15 people, and maybe it costs you $200 to do the entire project. So there are definitely some ways to help, but we're always looking for groups who also have money to donate in addition to time and energy and effort.
So do some of the volunteers actually, if there was a team, say from a company or a group of friends, that they would agree to donate the supplies as well as one option?
That's normally the way it's handled.
That's most groups, and about 15 people in a group, in a team sometimes?
It depends on the home. It really depends on the project. We have everything from roofing projects, which can be extremely involved, to simple painting, which can have a pretty small team involved. The other thing is, people who volunteer as team leaders, they may not have a full team for a house they're interested in working on. So they can actually pick up a couple of people, or maybe newcomers who have never been on a team before can join an experienced team. And it's an opportunity to interact with different people. I worked with a house this last fall, and they had a group from, I believe it was a Lutheran church and a UT fraternity working on the same house. They had never met before the event. They were put together because one group had expertise in one area, the other group had expertise in a different area. So there are definitely ways that groups can get involved.
Great.
And expertise is a good word. There's a lot of ways that we can use skilled tradespeople.
Yes.
A lot of our homes are in need of electrical repair or plumbing repair, and there's plenty of opportunities for tradespeople and licensed crafts folks who can plug in.
Good. Could you tell us, Laura, a little more of the detail? What are examples? I heard Carrie mention roofing or painting. What are some other concrete things you can tell us about that people actually do with their hands on?
Well, I can tell you from my experience of looking at the assessments from this round, because I really didn't see too much the last time in the midst of the storm, but I would say that there's a lot of doors that need to be replaced. I guess in Austin, houses settle quite a bit, and so it just leaves spaces in between a door and the floor or the wall, the door jamb. There's frequently water damage because the water is not drained properly from the rain, and kitchen cabinets, sinks that have to be replaced, roofing. I think there's a whole range of repairs that we deal with, and some houses are just beyond the scope of our program, and we can't really deal with them. But I think the majority of them we can at least have an impact on a person's life by fixing up their surroundings.
Good. A couple from my congregation I serve, they were frustrated by the fact that they just had this one weekend to help, and they connected with the woman they were helping, and she was 84 years old, and she was legally blind, and their hands-on housing weekend, they on their own with a few other helpers, young and old alike, went back the next 3 weekends to this woman's home to continue the work because they were frustrated they couldn't finish it, and they got to know somebody in a short amount of time.
And that's a pretty common occurrence in the program. A lot of folks will start something and continue that relationship, and they may find something else that they want to tackle while they're in the process of doing what they set out to do. So And we're all about encouraging that kind of relationship.
Right.
And now with the year-round program, we're probably going to see that enhanced even more. And if a weekend is not good for a group to participate, then they'll have a lot of other weekends that they can participate, particularly since it's a year-round event.
It's wonderful to hear about expansion. I mean, Austin's growing, a lot of things happening, but it's nice to see people that need a lot of help. Programs for them are growing, as we hear about a lot of cutbacks of social service and so forth. But this is mostly volunteer, and I mean, thankfully, David, you're full-time staff, and now Lori is. But it doesn't happen without people that happen to see a flyer. Are there other ways this is announced, that how people can get the word out or see it? Is it do we have public
Through
service
the media and
announcements?
public service announcements and
Press
newspapers,
releases.
press releases.
Press releases.
And a lot of repeat business. A lot of the team leaders come back for that third or fourth year because it really gets in your blood.
That's great. And it seems like the word of mouth is most. Since Carrie, you were hardly in Austin for any length of time, and you were pulled in, and not just pulled in, but now leadership role on the council. I want to thank each of you for taking the time to care, even though, sure, it's a position, it's a job in some sort for Laura and David. I mean, just willing to take on this job full time. It's when funding's not always stable, and you have to keep going out and doing the same things, and sometimes fix the same homes, and also all the volunteers represented by Carrie. Austin's a fantastic place, and I know we can enjoy the music and the beautiful scenery, get involved in any number of activities, but you all lead the way in people getting connected and building growing roots, because it seems like in a short time you all have grown deep roots in the community and know it much better than most people. Is there any final words or words of encouragement or challenge you'd like to share?
I'd just like to say that to really grow, it's going to take people. And I would like to challenge folks to come out and be a part of a team, but also to be a part of the Resource Council and to be a part of this organization that will guide our growth and really flesh it out so that we can really dig even deeper roots here.
Great. Well, again, thank you. Carrie, David, and Laura, thank you very much for the work you do. And folks who are watching this, you heard the challenge and the joy to get involved in a very specific way that does make a phenomenal difference, not just of repairing a home, but a person's life, their livelihood, and where they have shelter and nurture and make a new friend. So call Austin Metropolitan Ministries so you can join Hands on Housing. Thanks for joining us for Austin Faith Dialogue. Peace be with you.